What if I told you the fairy tale you grew up with was actually a watered-down version of something far darker? Before you skip, you need to know the twisted truth behind Snow White's story. Because what Disney showed you? That was just the beginning. Let me take you back to a time when fairy tales weren't meant to comfort children before bed. They were warnings, lessons carved in blood and consequence. And the story of Snow White? It's one of the darkest of them all. Picture this. A queen sits by a window on a winter's day, the snow falling like ash from the sky. She's sewing, lost in thought, when she pricks her finger on the needle. 3 drops of blood fall onto the pure white snow outside, framed by the black ebony of the window frame. And in that moment, she makes a wish that would set everything in motion. I wish for a daughter with skin as white as snow, lips as red as blood, and hair as black as ebony. Be careful what you wish for. The queen gets her daughter, Snow White, perfect in every way. But here's the thing about perfection. It comes with a price. The queen dies shortly after childbirth, and the king, drowning in grief, does what grieving men in power often do. He remarries. Quickly. The new queen is beautiful, devastatingly so. But beauty like hers? It's hungry. It needs to be fed, constantly validated, constantly worshipped. And she has a mirror. Not just any mirror, but a magic one that tells her the truth, whether she wants to hear it or not. Every single day, she asks the same question. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? And every day the mirror feeds her ego. You, my queen, are the fairest of them all. Until one day it doesn't. Snow White has grown up. She's 7 years old in some versions, 14 in others. But the point is the same. She's blossomed into something the queen can't compete with. And when the mirror speaks those fateful words, Snow White is the fairest of them all, something inside the queen breaks. What would you have done in that moment? Would you have accepted it? Moved on? Or would you have let jealousy consume you? The queen chooses destruction. She summons a huntsman, a loyal servant who's killed for her before. She gives him an order that would make your blood run cold. Take Snow White into the forest and kill her. And to prove he's done it, bring back her lungs and liver so the queen can eat them. Yes, you heard that right. She wants to consume Snow White's organs. Because in the original tale, this isn't just about vanity. It's about literally devouring youth, beauty, and life itself. The huntsman takes Snow White deep into the woods. She's innocent, trusting, completely unaware that she's walking toward her own execution. But when he raises his knife, he can't do it. Maybe it's her innocence. Maybe it's his conscience finally waking up. Either way, he tells her to run and never come back. Then he kills a wild boar, takes its lungs and liver, and brings them to the queen. And she has the cook prepare them with salt and eats them, believing she's consuming Snow White's youth. Let that sink in for a moment. Meanwhile, Snow White is running through the forest, terrified, alone, branches tearing at her dress and skin. Night falls. The woods come alive with sounds, wolves howling, owls screeching, shadows moving in ways that make your heart race. She runs until she can't run anymore, until she stumbles upon a cottage. It's small, impossibly small. Everything inside is tiny. 7 little chairs, 7 little plates, 7 little beds. She's so exhausted and hungry that she eats a little from each plate, drinks a little from each cup, and finally collapses across several of the beds, falling into a deep sleep. When the 7 dwarfs return from working in the mines, they know immediately something's wrong. Someone's been in their house. Someone's eaten their food. Someone's sleeping in their beds. They approach with pickaxes raised, ready to defend their home until they see her. Snow White. Beautiful even in sleep. Vulnerable. Alone. Tell me your theory in the comments. Why do you think the dwarfs decided to help her? They wake her gently, and she tells them everything. The jealous queen, the huntsman, the forest, the terror, and the dwarfs, these 7 miners who've lived alone for who knows how long, make a decision that changes everything. They offer her protection. She can stay with them, keep house, cook, clean, and in return, they'll keep her safe. But they give her one warning. When we're at work, don't let anyone in. The queen will find out you're alive and she'll come for you. Snow White promises. She means it. But promises are fragile things. Back at the castle, the queen stands before her mirror, confident again. She's eaten what she believes are Snow White's organs. She's won. So she asks her question. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? And the mirror, because it can only speak truth, shatters her delusion. Beyond the 7 mountains with the 7 dwarves, Snow White still lives, and she is the fairest of them all. The rage that fills the queen in that moment? It's volcanic. She's been deceived, humiliated, and now she'll handle this herself. She disguises herself as an old peddler woman and makes her way to the cottage. When Snow White sees her through the window, she sees no threat, just a harmless old woman selling pretty things. Laces, colorful bodice laces. Let me show you how to lace them properly, dear child, the queen says, her voice dripping with false kindness. Snow White, innocent and trusting, lets her in, and the queen laces the bodice so tight that Snow White can't breathe. She collapses, her face turning blue, gasping for air that won't come. The queen leaves her for dead. When the dwarfs return, they find Snow White on the floor, lifeless. But they're quick. They cut the laces, and she gasps back to life, coughing and crying. They warn her again, more seriously this time. That was the queen. Don't let anyone in. Ever. But the queen isn't done, not even close. She returns to her mirror, and when it tells her Snow White still lives, she creates something more sinister. A poisoned comb. She disguises herself again, this time as a different old woman, and returns to the cottage. Just let me comb your beautiful hair, dear, she coos through the window. And Snow White, despite everything, despite the warnings, lets her guard down again. The moment the comb touches her scalp, the poison seeps in, and she drops like a stone. Dead. Again. The dwarfs return. Again. They find the comb, pull it out, and she revives. Again. Do you think they made the right call letting her stay? Because at this point, you have to wonder if protecting her is even possible. The queen, now absolutely unhinged, creates her masterpiece, a poison apple. Red on one side, white on the other. The red side is laced with a poison so potent that one bite will stop the heart instantly. The white side is safe. She transforms herself one final time into a farmer's wife, harmless and kind. She approaches the cottage, and Snow White, now terrified of strangers, refuses to open the door. I understand, dear, the queen says sweetly. I won't come in. But surely you can accept a gift? A beautiful apple? Look, I'll even take a bite to show you it's safe. She bites the white side, chews, swallows, smiles. Snow White's resistance crumbles. She reaches through the window, takes the apple, and bites the red side. She falls. And this time, she doesn't get back up. The dwarfs return to find her cold, still, lifeless. They try everything. They search for poison, for objects, for anything that might revive her. But there's nothing. She's gone. Except she's not decaying. Her skin stays white as snow. Her lips stay red as blood. Her hair stays black as ebony. She looks like she's sleeping, frozen in time, preserved in death. The dwarfs can't bear to bury her, so they craft a glass coffin and place her inside, writing her name in gold letters. They set it on a mountaintop, and one of them always stands guard, watching over her. Seasons pass, years maybe, and then one day, a prince rides by. He sees her in the glass coffin and is struck by her beauty. He begs the dwarfs to let him take her. They refuse at first. She's not a possession to be traded, but he's persistent, almost obsessed. Finally, they agree, perhaps hoping that moving her might somehow break whatever spell holds her. As the prince's servants carry the coffin down the mountain, one of them stumbles. The coffin jolts, and that piece of poisoned apple, lodged in Snow White's throat all this time, dislodges. She coughs, gasps, opens her eyes. She's alive. The prince, believing he somehow saved her, asks her to marry him, and she agrees. Because what else is a girl who's been dead supposed to do? But here's where the story gets really dark. At the wedding, the queen arrives, not knowing the bride is Snow White. She's been told only that the prince is marrying the most beautiful woman in the kingdom. Curious and confident, she attends. When she sees Snow White alive, standing there in a wedding gown, the realization hits her like a physical blow. She's lost, completely and utterly lost. And the punishment? They've prepared iron shoes, heated in the fire until they glow red hot. They force them onto the queen's feet, and she's made to dance until she drops dead. That's how the original story ends. Not with a kiss, not with happily ever after, but with a jealous queen dancing herself to death in burning shoes while Snow White watches. What would you have done? Would you have shown mercy? Or would you have let justice, however brutal, take its course? Because that's the thing about the original Snow White. It's not a story about finding true love. It's a story about the destructive power of vanity, the danger of innocence, and the brutal consequences of jealousy. It's a story where beauty is both a blessing and a curse, where trust can kill you, and where revenge is served burning hot. The fairy tale, you know. That's the sanitized version, the one that won't give children nightmares. But the original? The original is a reminder that once upon a time, stories were meant to teach you that the world is dangerous, people are complicated, and beauty, especially beauty, comes with a price. And if you made it this far without looking away, you basically deserve a sequel where we dive into what happened after the wedding. So hit subscribe before the mirror tells you someone else got here first. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next.